Hi, my name is Charlie Porter, and my presentation today is on discrimination among Latino adolescents. Today I'll be talking about the role of discrimination, a literature review, then we'll look at discrimination in gender, physical and mental health, positive ethnic identity, solutions, future research, conclusion, reference, and journal submission. So what role does discrimination play in academic achievement of Latino students? So there's this changing demographic that was reported in 1990 to 2006 by Benner and Graham, and it says that Latino enrollment in public school had doubled between this time and is still increasing. Latino dropout rates are double that of other ethnicities. Therefore, this is really a topic that we need to look at to see why they are double that. So they identify the role that discrimination plays in limiting the achievement of Latinos. The paper also will explore the effects that discrimination has on Latinos in middle and high school. So discrimination takes a toll on the mental and physical health of the student. However, they found that positive cultural identity has a way to combat this type of negativity. So one thing when I was doing my research that kind of stood out to me was the fact that according to research, discrimination is a normal part of life in the U.S. if you're a minority. So it is something that you will experience at some time if you're a minority, and so that's kind of saddening. Discrimination and its gender. So discrimination is a part of life for minorities. So it's something that they have to deal with. It affects their gender differently in academics. So boys and girls kind of, the way it affects them kind of changes. To understand the differences in economic value of education, otherwise known as EVE. And basically what the EVE is, it's the belief that doing well in school will lead to an increase in economic opportunities and employment. So when looking at the EVE, they found that Latino males, they had a lower perception of EVE once they encountered discrimination. So they didn't think that why go to school? That's not going to help me move up in life because everybody's going to see me as just Hispanic and I'm not going to have equal opportunity. Whereas the girls, it didn't really affect them as much. So possible reasons for a decrease in the EVE is maybe because males tend to respond more violently. They get kind of angry versus females, they reported more sadness. With boys, they said that their fathers would tell them, okay, like if someone's discriminating against you, then yeah, you need to stand up for yourself. And if they won't back off, then you need to take things into your own hands. So kind of fathers were encouraging more violence. So it does take a physical and mental toll on them as well. So students do face discrimination. It takes a toll physically and emotionally. But they did find, Baker found that there are methods to help cope with discrimination, and they found that a support system really helps students. She identified 3 types of support systems: family, friend, and school personnel. And she also, in another study, it was talking about how students, what was their experience with their high school counselors. And a lot of them reported that if their counselor was negative towards them, then that affected whether or not they wanted to challenge themselves and be put in these advanced placement courses. A lot of them decided, okay, my counselor doesn't believe in me, so I must not be able to do it. So it's important as school personnel, especially as counselors, that we must be cognitive about our negative attitudes because it can affect the academic achievements of students. So positive and ethnic identity. Ethnic identity provides a protective factor for students. It also provides them with a positive attitude towards education when they're faced with discrimination. So they found that if they have like this cultural pride, that's really going to help them as far as dealing with discrimination. And they found that this positive ethnic identity usually stems from their parents. So what are some things we can do to help Latinos? So one way to help Latinos deal with discrimination, I think that there should be some support systems. We should have school support groups for these kids that we identify as at risk. So that way that we can help them combat any problems that they come across and help them as far as lowering dropout rates. In these support groups, they shouldn't just be about academics, but maybe we should also build on cultural identity. Maybe do student-centered learning activities that are going to have them look into their identity, their cultural identity, and actually teach others in their group about it. In doing the research, I identified three things that we need to focus on as far as further research. Specifically, why does discrimination affect Latino males more than females? What factors are attributed to the difference in the EVE among Latino males and females? 2, do genders experience discrimination differently, or do they perceive discrimination differently? And 3, what solutions can schools offer to help Latino males? So in conclusion here, high school counselors, they need to actively be researching how to alleviate discrimination and other issues that are contributing to Latino students' dropouts. If you live in Texas, we have a high population of Latinos, so this is a problem that we need to address. I think that maybe have cultural days extend to the school, have ethnicities come and celebrate and educate other students about their cultural differences. I do find that there is a need to find practical solutions that incorporate Latino culture into mainstream society. So that way that they don't feel, like they're outsiders. We want them to feel like America is inclusive. So that's it on my presentation. Here are my references if you're interested in learning more about the topic. And finally, the information in this presentation was written in a manuscript that was submitted for publication to the Journal of School Counseling, or the JSC, which is a national online peer-reviewed journal.